Welcome back to Miami for the second time tonight. This time around, the Highline Racing League brings it back to Homestead, Florida for a chance to return to an iconic venue, the former home of the Highline Racing League Premier Series Championship race, all the same. Tonight, Homestead returns in a different role. We're 10 races into the championship campaign, and by random selection, tonight's venue is once again the Homestead Miami Speedway. Great to return for a 125-lap feature under the light of the sun. It's a daytime race at the venue. Previously, season 16 championship race was held here. Tyler Hampton, the winner, the champion, Scott. At that point, both Scotts competing. One came out the winner. It was not Wheeler. It was Scott Zellner. You might remember additionally the championship previously hosted at Charlotte and, of course, last season, not at Homestead as well, but this time it's welcome time to return. It's the Highline Racing League Westlake Royal Building Products Premier Series, and we are greatly thankful to be back here in Florida. Familiar circuit, and more than 20 drivers have registered once again. Excited to go racing here. High Banks, Progressive Banks of Homestead, Florida. Mile-and-a-half circuit qualifying is on the way. You're watching live exclusively on FTN, and I'll be your host for tonight's broadcast, David Troitz, commentating and producing. We'll take a look downstairs where more than 16 drivers have taken a lap so far, and at the provisional poll, Adam Bozzi over Scott Zellner, first and second respectively. Right now, number 27 is going to be heading down to pit road. It looks like he's going to be done and done after his 2 laps of action, 1/1000th of a second ahead of the aforementioned Scott Zellner, and only 5,000ths ahead of Tyler Hampton. Nevertheless, each and every one of which have been usurped, and the man at the top of the board now is Dawson Buchanan. Looks like Dawson done as his qualifying run sends him to the top. Lucas Lodato also going to get going as we take a look at the number 7. He's currently going to find himself now in 13th. Lucas, 1 win on the season so far, getting it done at the Chicago Street Circuit, and tonight maybe looking to run it back and get back to victory lane for the first time on a left-turning circuit this season. Got it done once this year at an oval and is now looking for that second chance. Jason Harris, after a podium last week, finding himself down in 20th in the qualifying order so far, with still room to grow and get quicker. We'll see what Jason can do now as he goes up high through turns 3 and 4 and looks to find himself at least a little bit better on this coming lap. The number 88 behind now, Jacob Halm and Matt Muir looking to go at it again. Coming across the line, it's going to be 20th place. Jason Harris not going to be able to move up any higher. Now Roberto Ramirez, the final driver on the move in the Ally number 42. New paint scheme and look here for the 42 team. Multiple times a pole sitter this year. And right now for Ramirez, a little bit loose and bobbling up top is going to cost him a chance to finish another lap. It looks like Ramirez's qualifying room is going to be doomed before it starts. And so he'll go around, but won't be able to validate a time. And so qualifying has concluded with 20 drivers taking a lap out of the 24 that have registered and the 21 that have attempted. Ramirez will be the only one of which not able to take a time, and he is going to be close enough to getting there where it's going to be a heartbreaker, but unfortunately for Ramirez, he will start at best 21st tonight. Qualifying has concluded, and at the top of the board, Dawson Buchanan, the number 4, looking to go for his first career victory. 125 laps away from that right now. We'll see whether or not he can do it all over again. He will be starting tonight. Course position number 1. Pole position's his, and it's about time now to move on to your feature event. Dawson Buchanan going to be inside of row number 1 as your starting lineup gets put together. 24 drivers as we take a look further back, some of which in the back half of the field already loaded in, as are your starting 2 on the front row. Inside of row number 1 as we get to know the grid, going to be Dawson Buchanan. He had a strong run of the Chicago Street Circuit going together until he found himself in an incident of his own doing. And it looks like tonight, 2 weeks later, he's got a chance to maybe right the wrongs and go for more than the top 5. Instead, the checkered flag would be his pursuit. Buchanan going to be inside of row number 1, and with them in alongside Adam Bozzi going to be second in the garage beer number 27 machine. Third place is going to be then and there Scott Zellner and Tyler Hampton, who's won at this track before in Season 16. He'll be starting fourth, Tyler does tonight, in pursuit of his first win of the campaign as well. Fifth place is going to be then Kendall Kerr, the number 21. And good to have Casey Heschel back. Haven't seen Casey for the better part of the season. He'll return once again in a part-time pursuit of victory. Heschel starts in sixth then tonight. You got seventh place immediately thereafter, Alan Kunman. Already 2 wins on the campaign so far for Kunman. And then you got 8th place, Chad Winstead, the defending champion, finds himself P8, just beside your championship leader who could be going for his second title. 9th place, Jamie McKee, and 10th place will be Terry Brooks. At the halfway marker in your field tonight, Scott Wheeler and Ryan Potter, the 2-time former champ, right alongside the number 99 to end the top dozen. You're then going to have 13th place in Lucas Lodano. Kenny Brooks, who has yet to find a victory lane this season, is 14th with P15. Tyler Snyder and Caleb Moore see a winner this season as well. He's in 16th. 17th place will then be Colton Gardner with Matt Muir in 18th. 19th place is occupied by Jacob Hom, and 3rd place last week in his career high finish, Jason Harris in 20th. 21st place is Roberto Ramirez with Matthew Rodriguez 22nd. P23 is going to be Robert Kenny, and Dalton Beer is the 24th and final driver registered for racing here in Miami. Welcome back to the Florida coast. 125 laps to wait. Your starting grid is complete and rolling off of pit road as we speak. Matter of fact, they've rolled entirely off of pit road, and we're getting ready to go racing here and now. Track conditions of the Homestead Miami Speedway, much different from how they were earlier in the night. If you were watching live on FTN with us in the Iora Cup Series, it was nighttime racing. Track temperature is going to be warmer now, coming in at 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's due to maybe burn up a little bit more until the sun begins to set again. It'll be a day to night race of what we're looking at now, so expect to see the sun set slowly but surely before the checkered flag falls. Relative humidity of 72%. Tires are squealing all night, and we're expecting to see that more and more as the race progresses. 1 lap until we go green, so got a little bit more time to prep ourselves. One more thing to state, of course, with respect to the entire field, Homestead Miami Speedway, very familiar circuit. We've been here before, notably Season 16, the Gen 4 finale, and this track has been open ever since the Gen 4 era in stock car racing. Established first for stock car racing use in the late 1990s, this track is reconfigured in the mid-2000s, and ever since then has served as the former home of the NASCAR Cup Series finale until 2019. Homestead Miami Speedway is iconic and the first oval circuit to comprise fully of progressive banking corners on the national circuit. And so, drivers have gotten used to it specifically. Above all else, Homestead Miami Speedway is perhaps one of the best received ovals all throughout the country. There's very few fans in stock car racing and very few drivers who dislike this circuit, and that comes for good reason. It always brings exciting action to the table, and we're looking forward to see a lot more of that tonight. Homestead has been dominated by many men before. Tyler Hampton, one of which who steamrolled the field in Season 16. But a driver who was not with us in Season 16 grabbed the pole. It's Dawson Buchanan. Let's see what the new man can do with the mellow yellow number 4 as he eyes his first career victory. 1 extra lap. Looks like we're waiting a little bit longer for someone in particular to join us here. Everyone should be together from Dalton Beer in 24th on up. It will be now a signal again to go racing. Number 4 is Buchanan. Number 27 is Adam Bozzi. First and second up on the top of the board. Alan Kunman now getting together. Looks like your inside groove having some trouble organizing. Half a lap to go from this point. Tyler Hampton up top. It looks like with them, the Blacktop Racing Boys going to be lined up all as one. You've got Kendall Kerr, Alan Kunman, Jimmy McKee, all in order on the inside groove here. And of course, their teammate in Dawson Buchanan right up and ahead. It looks like the perfect circumstance for Blacktop Racing, all to be lined together on the inside. The only exception of which, Brad Kress, who is not racing with us here. But a power of 4 drivers is equally so significant when you think about how close they are to one another. Now they've got a chance to dominate that inside groove, as the outside might be left to fend for themselves. Multi-groove racing, very common here in Homestead, but expecting to see bottom feeding prominent from start to finish. Tonight, Dawson Buchanan does the honors of leading the field to the start to finish line in Homestead, and alongside him, Adam Bozzi will get things going in Miami. Welcome back to Homestead. 125 laps await. We're green again here in Southern Florida. Dawson Buchanan going to take an early lead over Adam Bozzi, a car length, and then the rest of the field remains largely side by side. Note that Tyler Hampton's already going to be up top there on Kendall Kerr, and while he hasn't quite made a pass, there's definitely advances to the high side that have good momentum. Casey Heschel going to be one of which. Casey tries going up to that third groove already, and while he had some good speed there, doesn't look like he's got the opportunity to necessarily seal the deal. We'll see what he can do up next from here. Alan Kunman going to find himself just behind, as is Jimmy McKee, and all those familiar drivers who have seen this track many a time before. They're going at it once again. Now you'll also see Scott Wheeler, number 97, finding himself in the battle alongside Chad Winstead, 2 former champions going at it once more. Your season 17 champ in the number 1. Then, of course, you've got Terry Brooks right there, too. All these drivers coming together at once, and Tyler Snyder's number 87 looks like he might be able to make a move here on Lucas Lodato. Lucas finds himself up into 11th, so a little bit higher than where he started, just a few positions. And he might be able to get up inside the top 10. Up to the inside groove. It looks like some drivers trying to take it a little bit higher, but most of which are going to be playing it safe and running single file, at least to open up the night. Up to the high side, there goes the number 23 of Brooks once more, and it looks like now on Lucas Lodato, he should be able to defend, but Lodato definitely has the speed to close in and maybe make some passes as the night goes on. Jimmy McKee going to find himself in that number 48, looking low again on Winstead. And right now for McKee, while his teammates have stayed ahead of him, it looks like he's having a little bit more struggle trying to hang on compared to all those just ahead of him. Tyler Hampton going to be 4th. Kendall Kerr got by for 3rd. And Adam Bozzi doesn't seem to have all too much success getting up to the number 4 of Dawson Buchanan. That, of course, is in the only first 5 laps of this race. And we still have more than 120 to go from here. Kendall Kerr goes low. He's going to dive to the inside and try to make a move yet again. Kendall can't quite get there. Now, inside groove, while strong in numbers, doesn't quite have the pace Adam Bozzi does coming through the corners. And while usually we see here at a track like Homestead, the difference in distance doesn't matter. If you know how to work the high side well, you can build speed, the likes of which cannot be found down to the inside. While the grip strip has not come into play just yet, if these drivers 100% want to, they can rip up to the top and try to find a little bit of a spacing. You might see it up to the top side, the darkest portion of the rubber. If you know how to use that area well, you'll be pushed off of the wall, and you can put a little bit more throttle into it and make quicker lap times, all while saving your tire. That grip strip is very challenging to approach, especially early on, and you need to rubber in the track before it becomes anything of significant use. Now, this track is seen practice and qualifying already. It is not completely unrubbered, but you still need about 25 to 30 good laps before it becomes considerable for consistent use. Maybe some drivers would try it right now, but it really does not mean much else. For the time being, the number 48 is Jimmy McKee there with Scott Wheeler, Chad Winstead just ahead, and all the while some side-by-side battles have begun to develop. Matthew Rodriguez is going to be in the mix here with Colton Gardner. Gardner bringing back his throwback scheme, as is Matthew Rodriguez, and so now the number 01 machine goes up top once again, sliding up a little bit higher maybe than he'd like. Looks like a lot of these throwback schemes on those was in the field, from the front of the field all the way down to the back half. Good to see some of which coming back, of course, that we haven't seen for the majority of the campaign. One driver who missed the start is 7 laps down in Scott Zellner, so interesting to see him very far on back. Spent 4.5 minutes on pit road and still is waiting to get on the way. Now Ryan Potter looking under on Matt Muir. Looks like to the inside he will dive once again. Jason Harris is going to be high-sided too. 9 laps in out of 125. So far really not much has come of Jason Harris in this event. He's made gains, but to talk about the race he had in Talladega and compare it to what we're seeing tonight, it honestly would be unfair. But that goes to show how well Jason Harris ran when the time was right, when the opportunity came into his place. And so he took advantage of it, got through with a career-best podium finish here, and it's the best we've seen of him since season 14. Full-time competitor, he's been here race in, race out, and for the Queen City, he's come through many a time before as one of our most consistent drivers. Great to see him here again, and maybe a chance for a top 10. He's running well so far in 15th, and it could be a night of attrition, something we saw last time we were at this venue in season 16, in which the man who's running in third dominated this race. The driver of the number 5, Tyler Hampton, it was his first ever start, the end of season 16, and he came through and bulldozed the field, leading more than 100 laps in a 134-lap feature. That was at the end of November last year, so about the same time that our championship finale will be a month from now. So if we keep in touch, keeping traction, of course, with the championship picture, well, Hampton's one of those guys who still needs to make some gains if he wants to be one of the top dogs in the picture. Alan Cummin, of course, is the man we've spoken of many a time before, and he currently has himself a 27-point lead over Jimmy McKee's teammate. Chad Winstead is currently tied for that second spot. Tyler currently holds himself 7th in the championship points here, so while not running a bad campaign so far, definitely a lot more to be seen if he wants to become a true title contender. He will pass by DJ Stagner in the championship today, no matter what. He's going to get by DJ, making it through. This is only the second race DJ has missed, mind you, but it looks like the 64 choosing to miss out on some crucial points just before the regular season ends. Dylan Poteet, with his victory last week in Talladega, jumps up from 14th to 9th in the points picture. However, if you noticed, I don't see Dylan Poteet on track right now. Not at all. So it looks like Dylan going to take a week off after a substantial victory. It's going to drop him just about right back to where he was beforehand, and that means Dawson Buchanan has a chance to dive a little bit further up into the realm of the top 10. Dawson right now is 10th in the point standings entering today, and has a serious chance to maybe go as high as P8. Maybe P7, if all works out well, passing DJ Stagner as well. If he gets a good night out of it, that remains to be seen. But Dawson seeing the first yellow flag fly. It's going to be Terry Brooks involved, the number 23 sliding, as is Scott Wheeler. Caution's out for the first time tonight. Let's take a look back right now and figure out what exactly was the cause. Caution at lap number 14. Let's take a look here and see exactly what caused it. It looks like maybe multiple incidents at once. Scott Wheeler looks to be the initial cause, and what catalyzed it might have been here side by side with Lucas Lodano. Scott Wheeler headed to the inside, Lucas Lodano right up top, and it looks like just contact. Minor sends him up into the wall, banging into Terry Brooks. Everyone stays straight except for an eventually sliding Scott Wheeler, and so while Brooks gets away, Wheeler ends up half spinning, so to speak. So the caution's going to come out as a result. Safety yellow flag, and we are pacing. Scott Wheeler, early trouble, right side damage, and he'll have to come down and in and figure things out once again. 15 laps in out of 125. Kendall Kerr is going to be on pit road, as is a majority of the field. And so now it's time to see strategy play out for the first time tonight. One strategy call would be to stay out. Looks like nobody's gone for that. Matthew Rodriguez is in on pit road, as is the majority of the pack. And so now as drivers exit, it will be Kendall Kerr, your new race leader, getting it just ahead, it looked like, of Matthew Rodriguez. Interestingly, Matthew Rodriguez has scored a lap ahead of the field. That is due to change. Kendall Kerr is your winner off pit road. Blacktop Racing holds the lead, but it's no longer Dawson's. Instead, Kendall has it made. Adam Bozzi right now going to fall back to 8th. A little bit of a fan support for the number 27, Emma Ox in the chat room. Thank you for stopping by once again. And Dylan Bonney providing expectations, or rather an explanation for why the 31 of Poteet not going to be with us. Leaving for a vacation in the morning, and it looks like he's got that picture. Of course, picture-perfect victory. A photo finish at that to back him up as a little bit of a cushion in the championship points. So good to see Dylan Poteet not only getting a win, but looks like he's taking some time off as a result, and the extended vacation will bring him back next week, hopefully into the fold once again. For Poteet, he's going to be very close to the cusp of falling out of the top 10 once again, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up, give or take, in perhaps 12th to 13th in the championship as a result. So now, Kendall Kerr going to be leading with Ryan Potter just behind. You're going to have P3, Casey Heschel, and that's the highest that Heschel's been all night. Starting up inside of the top 5, just about, Kendall Kerr has been leading all throughout in the top 5 bracket himself. Now he's the overall race leader. His teammate going to fall back. Casey Heschel, no such reliance on teammates, however. Started in, of course, top 5, as we mentioned, right along the confines of those including Dawson Buchanan and Kendall Kerr. It was a P6 start for Casey Heschel, but he immediately jumped up there, got up to the 4th position during the green flag run, now holds his own in 3rd. So the question becomes, what can he do here to move forth and maybe take the race lead? Currently, Casey gonna occupy the high side. Looks like that's his chosen line. Ryan Potter gonna go up top as well. Everyone on new rubber, no differences in tire. Kendall Kerr will be your race leader, and he finds himself once again the leader again, indeed. Number 21 looking to break the winless drought that he's been on ever since season 16. We talk about Homestead and the last time we were here. Well, the Gen 4 era is indeed the last time Kendall Kerr got himself a victory. So maybe a chance to snap that drought at the same time. Ryan Potter up top, looking pretty good tonight. Unfortunately, doesn't have his teammate in DJ Stagner, but he's going to work things out on his own. Now you have Dawson Buchanan in the 2nd row for the first time. He was leading the opening 10 laps and now finds himself a little bit further back. He's got his teammate ahead of him, so someone he can trust. I think the question becomes, what can he do now, not with the errant track position advantage? Does he have what it takes to fight back without any additional assistance, or now will the 4 machine struggle at long last? Questions are due to be answered here. We'll figure out with restart number 1. iRacing official pace car is going to head down and in, and it's going to be Kendall Kerr getting the big jump. Accordion further on back. Bozzi in the 4th row behind. The outside struggle big, but it's Kendall Kerr's inside that brings us back to green. Casey Heschel taking 3 wide. It looks like the outside groove going to have some serious struggles here. Up top in the number 49, there goes Heschel, and there goes Jimmy McKee all the same. Toe-to-toe, I think the question more so is going to become, maybe now Casey Heschel has to be a little bit more aggressive. We wondered if track position would save him there, but the outside groove really didn't get away well. Adam Bozzi going to be all the way back there into the 8th spot. Now Casey Heschel right there in 10th. So some major fluctuation. One thing that didn't change is Tyler Hampton has the pace. He now finds himself about a 10th.5 off. The driver of the number 4 is going to be number 4, number 5, 1st and 2nd here on the running order. And it's going to come down to whether or not, of course, Tyler Hampton can pass. Something that has not been done under green so far today. But maybe now Hampton will prove to be the first of which to do so. Former race winner at this venue, and that might be the biggest accolade to have when it comes to returning to Homestead. Drivers who are successful here, regardless of what's going on with respect to the car, the condition, usually have the most success. Really doesn't matter what you throw at them, so it's not a surprise that from the Gen 4s in which he won, Tyler Hampton is again here in 2nd. I don't think anyone is all too surprised to see Tyler Hampton quick at an intermediate circuit all the same. Look a little bit further back and you'll have Kendall Kerr, Alan Cumming again, the blacktop duo, but some smoke billowing here and Ryan Potter in trouble, passed by 6 drivers at once, and he's going to be banging the wall back and forth, and talk about a way to exit the top 10. Ricky Luckily, nobody else gets hurt, but Ryan Potter going to lose out big time with just one foul swoop. So now the number 99 finds himself back in a 14th, and while he was up there in the heart of the battle, including Bozzi and Jimmy McKee, Tyler Snyder as well, Lucas Lodato too, he's behind all of that. It's going to be very tricky for him to get back up there. Hopefully nothing else comes of it, but plain and simple, if you get caught up in that wall, it's very hard to leave. That's the risk and reward factor that comes from running up high. If you go up to the top side there and you get stuck, you are done for, more or less anyway. I think the problem becomes maybe for these drivers right now, they want to be aggressive just because of not being up in front to begin with. But for someone like Ryan Potter who just got track position, I don't understand what the game plan was there. Unfortunately, it just looks like an unforced error going to cost him big. 23 laps in out of 125 here. Matt Muir in the number 70 holds his head up high and has taken his number 70 right up top with. Matt has been, for the better part of his campaign, perhaps the most consistently attending Toyota. He's been alongside the likes of his teammate and Matthew Rodriguez. Unfortunately for Matthew tonight, he's having some significant internet troubles, which it looks like largely have been alleviated. He's back on the circuit again, but just a few minutes before practice and qualifying, it was a struggle to get back on the circuit. Rodriguez has returned, is in 18th right now, and is not the only retiree. That currently is Scott Zellner, who decided to head down a pit road and remain there. But you can see, even now for Rodriguez, who got on the track, he's having some blips back and forth, which if they are continued, it's going to be a very big problem. Luckily, it doesn't look to be too consistent right now. We'll keep a watch on the 0-1 and see if anything happens. Not going to be a perfect scenario, but for the 0-1 of Rodriguez, being on the circuit and getting some points is a big deal nonetheless. Now Jimmy McKee is coming up on the number 1 of Chad Winstead. 25 laps in out of 125. We'll have just about 100 laps remaining henceforth as Alan Cummin now goes for the move on Caleb Morrissey. Once again, Caleb Morrissey is making big moves, and it looks like the fire has been lit under him time and time again this season. We've been shocked to see him make his way back up. He's here again in 5th. He started as low as 16th place tonight, and we really didn't know whether or not Caleb would get back into this sort of style of driving. Chicagoland looked to be the detrimental, almost death blow to his season, but it turned out to be the light that took him from a mid-pack driver once again to one of the best in the business. So far, Caleb finds himself in 16th after what was a subpar effort last week. However, he's closer than he was ever before to the top 15 conversation and even the top dozen conversation. The wonders another win would do to him are massive here, but now he finds himself up inside the top 5 already with a load of time to spare. Confused as to whether or not this is going to be him burning his stuff up earlier, if he really does have it in him again. It looks like so far he and the mile and a halves have clicked this season, which is interesting. We did go to the mile and a halves a lot last season with the Xfinity cars, and it just didn't look like the same Caleb Morrissey from last season has come back this season. Right now, that number 6 certainly doing his best, and he's making a great effort again to take it up and in front. Dawson Buchanan is going to lead once more, and currently Tyler Hampton is only going to be the man following. Hasn't had much a chance to make gains. Kendall Kerr P3, Caleb Morrissey now in 4th. 5th place is going to be Casey Heschel. No longer. He falls back to 6th as a result of the battle ahead of him, but he might be able to get back up to Alan Cunman and maybe take a chance with that number 49. Adam Bozzi going to be 9th. 10th place is then going to be Matt Muir, and Lucas Lodato is in 11th here. If we take a ride on board here with Lucas Lodato and have some driver telemetry, you'll see exactly what's going on as these drivers manage the early changes in condition at this track. And riding aboard now, your 11th place driver, you'll see a little bit of feathering on the brake at the very most, but a throttle-heavy circuit. The numbers of mile an hour are fluctuating, though. You can be down to the bottom and maybe cut a few more mile an hour and get the same result as someone driving a little bit harder with more speed up top. That just comes down to the radius of the corner and, of course, how hard you have to work it with progressive banking. Down to the inside at its lowest, Lodato's taking advantage of getting pushed up the track again and putting some extra power. So far, it really hasn't gotten him up the order. He's remained constant in 11th, but right now developing a driving technique is critical to the rest of the race. You cannot change on a dime, so if you know what you're comfortable with and what you're strongest with, it's going to help you out significantly. And as we can see here, Caleb Morrissey has decided to become the first of many to work it up top and continue making moves. Number 21 here of Kendall Kerr going to lie low, and little else he can do now. It's not going to be a matter of blocking. It'll just be a matter of defending his line. Caleb Morrissey up top, Kendall Kerr down low. They're really interfering at the absolute minimum with one another. And it shouldn't matter where they go to each other. We'll just see who ends up being quicker. Side drafting alongside, it's going to be toe-to-toe and side-by-side. Caleb Morrissey got by his other teammate, Alan Cummin, and now the Blacktop boys might have another challenge. If Tyler Hampton doesn't end up making the move on Dawson Buchanan, you might see Caleb Morrissey up next, and now he'll slice and dice lower than Kendall Kerr, and that will allow him to clear for P3. Kendall Kerr is going to fade back, and now his teammate, the number 8, is going to come through as well. Side by side, here comes Alan Cummin and Kendall Kerr, all the same. Kendall's going to decide to drop low on Caleb Morrissey once again. And here comes the 21 as he decides to drop low. And it looks like for the second time in 3 laps, it's going to be another slide job. And this time the advantage to 21. Caleb Morrissey in the channel lock number 6, back up inside the podium. Maybe a chance for his 3rd podium this season if he sticks it out. But 33 laps in, Morrissey's runs have been troublesome to estimate. We didn't expect to see him up in front of Chicagoland. You might remember the first 30 or so laps, he was hovering around 9th or 10th. In Chicago, he held on well in the opening portion to have a top 10 run going. Ended up getting destroyed in some later incidents that had him fall further back in the running order. 16th in points with a victory isn't the best for Caleb Morrissey, but he's definitely been looking better as of late, and he has also missed 2 races, so he's got a lot more to gain than there is to lose here. And I think for Caleb, holding on to a top 5 is one thing, maybe trying to hang on for a podium would be another, and he might see some additional pressure coming from Casey Heschel. KC's now in the mix, and he's got himself going alongside Alan Cummin and Caleb Morrissey. Occur all the same. Let's see what the 49 can do as he begins to interfere and intrude upon the battle that's just ahead. Side by side, Caleb Morrissey still going to hang it there with Kendall Kerr. Looks like whoever has that inside groove has been, generally speaking, winning the battle. Caleb going to get loose and low, but it looks like Kendall Kerr going to wiggle up high without a choice. That's going to mean both of them are going to stay side by side, even though they both make a mistake all at once. That will leave Buchanan and Hampton a little bit more time to break away, but Caleb Morrissey's not making it easy on Kendall Kerr here. Matter of fact, I think the challenge has only increased as the night's gone on, but he'll fall back in line once again and let the 21 go through. Here comes the number 8, SP Design Chevrolet, Alan Cummin, very close there to the back end of Caleb Morrissey and Casey Heschel to making contact with Cummin, but nothing comes of it. And these drivers are some of the closest on the track, many of which are going to be tight by about a half a second or a quarter of a second of one another, but very few battles have remained side by side so consistently. For Caleb Morrissey here, he shot up to as high as 3rd, but now might be facing for the first time some pushback. Alan Cummin is going to drop to the bottom, and now has a chance to take the number 6's spot again. Caleb's got no choice but to try and defend here, but wondering if he burnt up his stuff a little early. And now 37 laps in out of 125 and 22 laps into this stint, he'll have more than 30 laps to go from here until he can get that perhaps best case scenario of backing out without much an incident. Maybe trying to get a little bit of extra assistance, just getting out of the way, and of course making it to pit road, getting that new set of rubber, and getting back in line. But you got to hang on to your spot if you want to benefit from a pit road cycle here. Caleb Morrissey, well, he's only dropped one position. You got to wonder, what if he keeps falling back here? What if Alan Kunman makes it look easy? And what if Casey Heschel and Chad Winstead behind also get through swiftly as well? Does the number 6 have what it takes to even hang on to the bottom half of the top 10 here? Even though they're not necessarily close to the frame, you got to realize 1st to 10th are only separate by 4 seconds. 10th to 17th is separate by another 3.5 seconds. The distances are rather close all throughout the field, so if you fall down the totem pole, it's a very real chance that you keep on sliding down again and again and again once more. Fifth place in Alan Kunman drops to the bottom. And this time with them, he will bring P6 in Casey Heschel. Chad Winstead has been trying to use that 2nd to 3rd groove, it looks like. Working up high has been his preference for the most part anyway, although it looks like he does consolidate here and work a little bit lower than previously seen. Caleb Morrissey is definitely going to be working that high groove in. Looks like he's committed to making it work throughout all 4 corners. Winstead has experimented with it and tried it before, but it really has not worked out. And as a result, he's going to take it back down to the bottom again, while Caleb Morrissey looks dead set to making that high side work. Number 8 of Alan Kunman now decides to follow. Caleb Morrissey's going to have to look back here. Maybe the number 8 is his next best competitor. And it looks like for once, Caleb Morrissey now getting the jump over Alan Kunman. Their gaps have been marginal to one another all throughout here, but the high side and the confidence Caleb Morrissey possesses in it might just be a saving grace. If he was running the same groove as Alan, he would most likely not be running it as well based on what we're seeing. But Caleb, working the high side better than Alan is the low, has kept himself in 4th here despite the continued struggles. Casey Heschel going to be on the bottom groove as well, and as these two run side by side, Kunman and Morrissey, Casey remains the biggest spectator of all, and now Jimmy McKee might end up in the mix with Casey Heschel and Chad Winstead very soon. And one of the positive effects, of course, of having a long, drawn-out green flag battle is more drivers getting involved at the heart of the fight. Caleb Morrissey and Alan Kunman have gone at each other time and again, and it looks like now it's beginning to draw out in this fight such that the entire group is slower. That time by, Casey Heschel ran a 25, or rather a 35.227. Caleb Morrissey a 35.182. Tyler Hampton a 35.115. And Tyler did take the race lead over Dawson Buchanan up at the head of the pack. This battle has continued and raged on, so much so that Jimmy McKee is here, and now he's going to try to make a move on Chad Winstead. Enter the coach in the number 48 with his Mattoon High School paint scheme back on. Racing in green tonight, Jimmy McKee is. Looks like he's getting back up to the throwback number 1, your defending champ, looking to defend against the number 48. 8th and 9th place right now going to be occupied by McKee and Bozzi. Maybe Adam Bozzi is going to come up next here and get in the mix and try to battle for his own positions. That time by, Adam was not quicker, however, compared to Jimmy McKee. And so even though Jimmy McKee was able to race up into this fight, it's not going to be easy to get in the battle like this, but it is a slightly better chance to get up into a bottleneck fight up at the front of the pack. Caleb Morrissey stays high. Up top, he'll go with the number 6 and 49 now taking it there together. Alan Kunman still tries to work the bottom here and can't quite get there. Number 8 machine of Alan Kunman. He'll swoop right back in the line, slotting in again and conceding, at least temporarily. Chad Winstead sees Jimmy McKee right down low. So now the number 1 has no choice but maybe to go for the same route and same style as Caleb Morrissey and try to be dedicated to the high groove. 46 laps in out of 125, and keep in mind the strategy for this race originally looked to be a one-stop race. That's not going to be the case based on how we went down a pit road so early at about lap 15. As a result, the two-stopper looks more likely with one stop under green at the absolute most. 46 laps in out of 125 and a 31-lap stint means that in about 35 laps time, drivers will come down a pit road and finish the job with respect to their strategy. Lap 62 is the official halfway point, but the halfway point for this strategy call would be about lap number 72. Anywhere from 72 to 80 looks to be reasonable. For Tyler Hampton, he has run away straight up. Nobody else is going to be with him, and as a result, the number 5 is harkening back to a time in which he won at this circuit just about a year ago. And it's not a shock to see Tyler Hampton up and ahead. It really looked like a race where, regardless of what it was, the Gen 4, or the Xfinity car, or the Next Gen, he would have been the winner. He seems to be the Homestead ace of this series, and he's proving it again. He's only ever raced here twice in this league, and now he's looking to go for 2 consecutive wins. Season 16 came through as his without doubt, and of course what we saw kick off this race and what we've seen so far indicating he might just be able to do it all over again. Interesting, but the job is not done, and the driver, the number 5, Tyler Hampton, definitely has to keep on fighting to see what's up next. The job's not done, and while he might not be battling other drivers, the battle becomes more so about what's around you, the environment of the circuit. And the Homestead Miami Speedway, while you could say it is somewhat forgiving, really isn't all too special when it comes to its forgiveness or its tolerance. As a matter of fact, it might be one of the trickier field, or rather circuits, to navigate, in large part due to the fact we seldom see it. It's come up about once every 2 seasons. Before season 16, we saw it in season 14. So it's not as if this comes up all too often. And the question becomes more so, maybe we're going to see it in the future. Maybe there's going to be a chance for drivers to adapt more so to Homestead if it comes up more often. You might remember in season 14 that it was actually Roberto Ramirez who got the job done here in Homestead. It was also the season finale of that campaign. Scott Wheeler came away and clinched the championship. However, it was not a race that many people remember, for the 42 came out and got the job done, even though he was not a championship threat. So maybe that's something more should keep in mind. Season 14, not a season that was determined, with Homestead anyway, by a ringer, but instead a full-time driver who waited until the very end of the campaign. Scott Zellner and Roberto Ramirez, mind you, both of which are on the podium. Zellner was the driver who officially won that event. Ramirez came fourth on the podium after a victory in Iowa, and Scott Wheeler was the champion. That was his 2nd consecutive championship. Unfortunately for Zellner, he is not with us tonight, and we won't be able to get a word from the number 2. In addition, before the FTN era, season 12 saw the Homestead Miami Speedway, and that was an event which ended up being, again, the season finale. Kendall Kerr won that race, and that was a 120-lap feature. So most often, the tradition here in the Highline Racing League is bringing Homestead as the season finale. Not the case again this year. Thanks to our randomized schedule, this is the only time you will see the Homestead Miami Speedway on the calendar, no matter what. Dawson Buchanan getting past now, as it looks like Caleb Morrissey is still battling here with Alan Kunman. Alan will go down low once again and try to keep the fight alive. Number 8 of Alan Kunman is going to look low, and up top has been Caleb Morrissey. That's been the same old for a long while now. Jimmy McKee did fully get by Chad Winstead. Perhaps the biggest change is the proximity now of Casey Heschel to those who battle just ahead of him. It's clear as day that Casey Heschel has the pace now to give a real strong fight to the men he's been battling with, and now he's battling right alongside. He got through on Jimmy McKee early on, and now that Jimmy's gotten back, he still hasn't made the pass in return. Caleb Morrissey is starting to lose his ground and lose steam. You can see now Alan Kunman is backing ahead there in the 4th spot. But Caleb Morrissey's not done yet. But if he is done, it'll be Casey Heschel who announces it. And it looks like now, with a dive to the inside groove, Casey Heschel's making it clear as day he's not going to let this number 6 team off easy. Side by side and 3 wide, nearly contact. Jimmy McKee now trying to make a move. Can't quite get there, but he's going to send the signal that Heschel now has something to worry about. And the 48 now going to dive deep. This is the battle again for the 6th spot. Advantages McKee. And Casey Heschel at once is going to lose that spot. A rather quick shocker as Roberto Ramirez opts to go down and in after a 38-lap run. 55 out of 125 through, and he's going to come in very early. Roberto does. Maybe we're going to see more drivers decide to do so. Here comes Adam Bozzi. He's going to make his way down and in. Again, we do not have a limit on the fuel cells, so two-stop strategy, while we didn't predict it to be in the picture, now it is. 125 laps. We already saw the one stop under yellow, and drivers come in rather early. Kick off this next cycle. Tyler Hampton, your leader, Kendall Kerr there in second, and of course Dawson Buchanan third. Those of which were up in front have decided to stay out. No big changes there. Looks like those who are accustomed to staying up front have decided not to change it. Matt Muir going to be high, and then the 54 of Kenny Brooks is right down low. This is not going to be much a battle for position right now. Looks like Matt just got through, but Kenny Brooks doing a pretty good job for that number 54 team, holding his own and keeping himself just ahead of the top 15 boundary. Might be one of Kenny's best races on the calendar. And talking about the Brooks brothers, Kenny has unfortunately not gotten as close to victory as Terry Brooks has. Right now, Terry finds himself 13th in the championship. Kenny finds himself in 22nd. With 2 top 10s so far on the season, he's gotten more than quite a few drivers who you might know of. As a matter of fact, it's interesting because Terry Brooks only has 1 more top 10 and is 9 points ahead of him in the championship, or rather 9 positions ahead of him in the championship race. The difference between 1 or 2 top 10s, it really shows, and matter of fact, Ty Smith with a race win only has 2 top 10s. Kenny's peripherals might not be the worst, they're not too remarkable either, but the real difference comes in the starts that are beyond the top 10, that average finish, and drivers who can mellow out at about the 11th or 12th, 13th positions consistently have a significant advantage over all those who end up further back, like the 20th or 25th places, which for those who retired early, like Scott Zellner and Ryan Potter, bad news for them, as yes, Potter is your second retiree on the night. He just went down and in 22 laps under. It looks like Scott Wheeler did too. Now he's 43 laps back all the same. That's going to help out as Kenny Brooks gets up to 11th here and might have a chance to look at what's just ahead. Chad Winstead now going to put some more pressure on Caleb Morrissey. And there's Casey Heschel, all the same. Number 49 of Heschel here, going to be just ahead of Morrissey. 3 drivers in a bundle single file. Getting away, Jimmy McKee did, and then Alan Cummin, Dawson Buchanan, and Kendall Kerr. Blacktop Racing is now 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. $60 laps in out of 125, getting close to that halfway marker, and now we're seeing some more predictable pit stops. Caleb Morrissey will concede after getting battled pretty hard, shall we say, to lose a few positions, and he's going to decide now's the right time to make it down and in. The number 6 of Morrissey opts to go through, and now he's going to be scored in 13th. Kenny Brooks is going to get up into the top 10. Lucas Lodato moves up to the single digits. Calm and quiet night again for Lucas Lodato, who finds himself up to a high of 9th on the night. 13th place is going to be, well, he was lowest, so he's been right around the bubble of the top 10 all throughout the day. Maybe he's got a little bit more in him to get up inside the single digits firmly, but that comes down to strategy. Caleb Morrissey going to be one of those who goes for a massive undercut here, not even getting up to the halfway point, but at least it is close to that halfway marker, so we understand exactly where he's coming from. Big jump there by Matthew Rodriguez, and while not for position, that shows you how quick the new rubber is compared to old. Rodriguez is going to mow down the driver ahead of him. Take a look and watch out here as we're going to ride on board with Rodriguez until he gets up to the next driver ahead of him. And by all accounts, looks like he's coming up on Tyler Snyder fast. And before you know it, the number 01, Matthew Rodriguez, new rubber prevails, and he will make another pass, this time on Tyler Snyder. Only took in the better part of 20 seconds to mow down a several second advantage held by Snyder, and that shows you how quick these drivers are when they go down to pit road and get those new Goodyears, now side-by-side teammates. Going to be Alan Cummin and Jimmy McKee alongside each other again. Now with us passing the halfway marker officially, pit road window is open. It's been open for quite a while now, with drivers coming in as early as 20 laps ago, but the expectation was drivers would go at least 50 laps on this stint and then drop down and in. Maybe some would try to go as long as 65 to 70 on this run. That's something that could happen based on previous metrics, but maybe that's a little bit too long. That's when the overcut, shall we say, becomes a little bit extreme. And is that extremity something that is advantageous for the drivers? We really do not know, at least right now anyway. I would think that 70 to 75 is the best time to go down and in. You'll have new rubber to finish off the race. You will not burn yourself out as quick, but you'll also have some track position compared to those drivers that decide to take it to the full extreme, which, while it might seem enticing, it might not be the best thing to work with, because the tire wear tonight has been noticeable, but not too extreme. Tyler Hampton ran a 35.41 last time by. His best lap is a 33.374. It's actually a 734. So overall, his gap between best lap and his most recent is only about a second and a half, all things considered. That's not huge. It might not be the best thing to go for that significant overcut, which is why we're thinking moderation, go down to pit road, take your break, go to pit road, reset, and then go in within about 10 laps time. If you go beyond lap 80, it's going to be very challenging to make up that track position. Even if you're fast, doesn't mean you have room on track, which is something you cannot magically manifest. Track position is not permanent, but it is also not something that changes on a dime. You either have it or you don't. And it's not easy to randomly get it. So for the drivers who have stayed out right now on a 50-plus lap stint, they got to evaluate when they are going to come in. Most likely 60 to 65 laps in for their stint, 75 to 80 laps in for their racing overall is the right time, as Jimmy McKee looks like he's contemplating, but will not go in that time through. And it's interesting to see the entire blacktop racing operation running alongside each other on the order. Second down to fifth, and Jimmy McKee finds himself the last of which. It's been a wonderful day for that team. One that has put it together before for 1, 2, 3 finishes, but they haven't done so in quite a while. Even though Kendall Kerr's been winning contender and Alan Cummins has gotten the job done twice, it looks like this season, like most others in Highline Racing League, well, it's all been about parity. It's very hard to line up a team together, whether it's intentional or not. Dalton Beer just went down to pit road. 51 lap stint for Hint, and it looks like he's going to decide to drop through and go to pit road, get himself some new rubber as more drivers cross past the start-finish line. Tyler Hampton leads by 3.4 seconds over the rest of the field, and when he goes down to pit road, it's going to be a true signal that this pit cycle is coming to a close. Everyone's going to follow the leader here in Hampton, and it looks like Caleb Morrissey's trying to catch up to Tyler before, of course, he signals that it's time to go down and in. Caleb is the net leader on new rubber right now. He finds himself in that role above all else. The next best driver would be one lap down, as Caleb Morrissey is in Matt Muir, and it looks like Matt is about 8 or 9 seconds behind Caleb Morrissey as we speak. Another big move there for Caleb Morrissey to get back on the lead lap, and he's the first driver on new tire to do just that. So I think Tyler Hampton's going to consider going down and in this time, and he's slowing down, at least compared to Caleb anyway, and it looks like this time through the number 5 will stay out, but now the biggest contender of all those on the big undercut strategy just got through, as now Tyler comes by for lap number 70 on the order at 125. Caleb Morrissey coming up on Kenny Brooks once again, and it looks like a little bit of weaving and bobbing, but no major changes in position. Tyler Hampton leads from Kendall Kerr in second, then you got Jimmy McKee in third, and P4 will be Dawson Buchanan, with then the number 5 spot held by Alan Cummins. 6th place is Casey Heschel, with 7th then being Chad Winstead. Kenny Brooks is P8, and 9th place is Tyler Snyder right there with them, as Lucas Lodano rounds out the top 10. Your leader, Tyler Hampton, just went down a pit road, and it's about time we get the signal to see your race leader opt in and now opt out of course, being up in front. He's going to take a few more drivers with him. Jimmy McKee, Dawson Buchanan, Chad Winstead. And so the onslaught comes down to pit road, and the one-stop strategy under green is coming to fruition. Chad Winstead right there with Hampton, McKee, and company. Big move as your race leader decides to drop down and in. New race leader is going to be Kendall Kerr, and for Kendall, his call will be to stay out, at least for now. 71 laps in out of 125. We'd like to thank iRacing Motorsport Simulations for their continued support live on FTN, bringing the product and the action to you. If you'd like to register and start your sim racing career, visit iRacing.com for all information on how you can sign up and race not only with league racing like the Highline Racing League, but start your climb to the top of the ladder from Legends cars and street stocks and local short track racing to replications, laser scan, millimeter accurate of the NASCAR Cup Series, Xfinity Series, and Truck Series, and all it takes is you to start your sim racing career today. Visit iRacing.com after tonight's broadcast. You're watching now the Highline Racing League at the Homestead Miami Speedway, and we will return after the following message from iRacing.com.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Returning now at 51 laps remaining, Kendall Kerr just got off the way from pit road, and Casey Heschel just went down and in. Pit cycle is just about concluded now, and Caleb Morrissey finds himself chasing after Alan Cumming. Alan is going to come down to pit road, and he's going to end the wild goose chase here and now. He's the last driver to not come down to pit road, and so he's going to conclude his run after 60 laps and bring Terry Brooks right there with. So Caleb Morrissey now going to get that chance to take the overall race lead, at least temporarily, because up next on him is going to be Tyler Hampton. Tyler finds himself overall now in P3, and even though he doesn't have the race lead just yet, he is right now quicker than all those who are ahead of him, including Caleb Morrissey. He's making up about a second per lap on Caleb as we speak, and it looks like now on a 16-lap run, Caleb Morrissey is losing time and big to the man who is just behind him. Battle for the race lead is going to get heated from here on out, and Caleb Morrissey, especially through the corners, is losing time. In the last 4 laps, the telemetry, it will show you how big a difference it is. Tyler Hampton has gone from 32 seconds back on your leader down to 10 seconds back, and here's a more reliable, accurate estimate. He is now 2.5 seconds back on Caleb Morrissey, and that gap will continue to decrease as Tyler continues to cycle around the circuit at a much quicker rate. He should be able to catch up to Caleb Morrissey by the time we hit lap number 80, or 45 laps to go left in this show here. So I think Caleb Morrissey now understands that there's really little he can do besides somehow become quicker, but I don't think that's going to be very possible now for the number 6. And as Caleb gets on the way toward the start-finish line, his lap times are in the 34-second bracket. Tyler Hampton is still running in the 33s here, something just about no other driver can do on a consistent basis when he's 6 or 7 laps into the run, and already it looks like he's going to be gaining a second plus each and every time by. Tires are warmed up just right for Hampton, and he is getting closer and closer and closer. Through the corners, there's nothing Caleb Morrissey can do. Tries to go up to the high side, and Tyler Hampton, he doesn't even need to give that effort. He will just keep on clawing in and taking back time regardless of what Caleb does here. 48 laps to go, and he's got to watch out behind him. Gap is now 0.4 of a second and still diminishing. Adam Bozzi additionally is slower, mind you, than Tyler Hampton, so it looks like he will not be any threat for second place, so Caleb can at least take solace in having some time to think out his next move. But as you can see, the number 5 of Tyler Hampton is there, and he's now going to try to take this spot, and it looks like Roberto Ramirez is going to give some final solace to number 6, but it will not be enough for a long-term hold-off. 47 laps to go, becomes 46 remaining. Hampton dives deep, and this should be it. Up top, Morrissey gets in the wall, and it looks like an unforced error will give the race lead regardless. New race leader, Tyler Hampton. And he clawed back 2.5 seconds in just 4.5 laps. Doing all that and then some, Tyler Hampton is your new race leader, and that might be the move of the race. He's got the advantage now in track position above most everyone in the field, and now with more than 5 seconds back to Adam Bozzi, and Bozzi not gaining in the slightest, it really looks like nothing more can be done. Kendall Kerr right now is 9 seconds back on Tyler Hampton, while he is actually a little bit quicker. It looks like 9 seconds is nearly an insurmountable gap, something we really don't expect to see as a perfect outcome or a perfect circumstance for Kerr. It's not impossible, but the odds are stacked against him here to make up 9 seconds in 45 laps. He would have to be, over the course of the entire run, more than 1/10 of a second quicker each and every time by to even have a chance. He would have to be about 1/2 a second quicker each and every time by to get there to even have a chance at passing. And that includes, of course, the fact that by the time they get to the 20 lap to go point, tires will mellow out and nobody's going to have a serious advantage, at least in making moves and making passes. One close battle now involves Robert Kenny and Casey Heschel, and not where Casey would like to be, all the way at the tail end of the field. Right now, Heschel on new rubber is still making the charge up and just got by Robert Kenny. That right there was the move for position number 11, and Casey just made it on his pursuit to get up inside the top 10. Matthew Rodriguez is going to be just ahead, so it might be some teammates going at each other here. Matthew's on a 29-lap stint, mind you. He's running the two-stop strategy. It looks like the 49 is going to be coming up on him here, and we might see these two run against each other and alongside for a brief moment, but it won't be all too long, as Casey's new tires will be, as proven right there, significantly better and well equipped for the task. .42 laps to go, and time still counting down. It's going to be Tyler Hampton leading and Caleb Morrissey in second, Kendall Kirby 3, Adam Bozzi up top in 4th again. Bad news here for the number 27, and it looks like for the Garage Beer Ford Mustang, we call it bad news simply because it doesn't look like he's going to be making all too many gains. In fact, he's getting gained on. Number 48, Jimmy McKee. He's got himself very close here, and he's going to dive a little bit deeper once again. Setting it low, number 48, of McKee. This is the move here for 4th. Looks like advantageous he'll be, and at the stripe, 41 laps to go, making it 40 remaining. Next up, Jimmy is just outside the podium and might have a chance to get there. A second ahead is his teammate in Kendall Kerr. Kendall now at 41 laps to go and time still running out, has a chance here to hang on for a top 3 and stay behind Caleb Morrissey. I think he's going to have a goal, of course, of getting beyond Caleb Morrissey and getting ahead of him. Caleb right now is 3 seconds back on Tyler Hampton, and it looks like only 4 seconds ahead of Kendall Kerr. Gap has diminished and has been halved overall. It looks like as time will progress here, Caleb Morrissey is going to continue losing time, and Kendall Kerr will just keep on gaining. Nothing more that can be said or done right now for the number 6 team. He's going to have to watch out when it comes to the 21 and company behind, because when they get there, it's going to be an onslaught that will take Caleb out of the top 3, out of the top 5, and maybe in jeopardy of falling out of the top 10. Matt Muir right now, that number 70 is 16 seconds back on leader Tyler Hampton, 13 seconds back on Caleb Morrissey. So now, with all being said and done, Matt Muir might have a chance to get up to Morrissey. That time by running a 35.27. It was a 35.3 for Caleb Morrissey. He is slower, and he might get slowed down and bogged down more by the time he gets up to guys like McKee Or like Kendall Kerr, when the Blacktop Racing boys get through and make it a close fight to stay in the podium, we expect to see Caleb Morrissey struggle even more so. We might see some 36 or 37-second laps out of the 6 team, which it only just shows the undercut is a risk, and while there's a reward at the end of the race, which is, of course, maybe a P3 with a checkered flag at this rate, not going to be easy and can never be guaranteed. Tricky to figure out what the game plan is here for Caleb Morrissey. Not to say he's inexperienced or that he does not know what he's doing, but it's going to be a hard-fought battle that, in large part, comes through based on those around him. He's going to be at the will of the field, something you do not want to be in a position to say, especially now with points on the line. Caleb wants to get up there inside the battle for the top dozen in the championship, if not more so. To stay in 16th right now, given his recent performances, really isn't representative of how well he's done in the most recent events. So I think that if he wants to hang on here, he's got to think of what he can do, because Kendall Kerr is getting closer and closer. Gap between he and Kendall is now 1.5 seconds, and Chad Winstead is now going to make a move, and he makes it by Adam Bozzi. That will move Chad up into 6th, getting by the number 27, and Bozzi's one of those who is indeed losing time. Caleb Morrissey now is going to head down to pit road once again, and an interesting call. The number 6 will concede and head down to pit road for the second time. Maybe going to try to go for a late charge here. This is a shock. I don't know if it's going to work out. Big change for Caleb Morrissey's plans. Adam Bozzi decides to go through as well. And now we've got ourselves an alternate strategy, the likes of which we did not expect at all. Caleb Morrissey and Adam Bozzi are going for new rubber to finish off the race. Additionally, Robert Kenny decides to go for the same call, and something we did not expect just 10 laps before has all of a sudden become the norm. And here comes the number 6 back all the way. And we say the norm as in multiple drivers have decided to go for it here, normalized more than anything else. Tyler Hampton, as the sun begins to set here in the Homestead Miami Speedway, he is in perfect position. 35 more laps to go. So long as he hangs on from lap 91 onward here, the checkered flag is his again. And it looks like you cannot bring this field to Homestead without expecting Tyler Hampton to go out and dominate. Homestead and Iowa really seem to be the tracks that suit Tyler Hampton best. Unfortunately, he missed Iowa this season. Well, it looks like he's found himself his freebie race in which he can dominate and take the field by storm all over again, no matter what. Tyler Hampton has become an unbelievably beyond competent driver in this field. He's become one of the best in the field. The big problem is the driver of the number 5 has not been able to make anything happen with respect to a championship charge. In season 17, he was quick, couldn't quite make things work out. However, here in season 18, he has a chance to maybe keep on climbing up the ladder so long as consistency is in his back pocket here. 33 laps to go. He is 6 seconds ahead now of Kendall Kerr and 8 ahead of Jimmy McKee. Matthew Rodriguez decides to go down to pit road as well and go for the exact same strategy call. Here comes the 0-1. And up next will be Caleb Morrissey in the number 6 machine. 14th right now, 1 lap down. Let's see what he can do. Conceivably, he could get back up to the top 10 with this strategy based on how much quicker he's going compared to all those around him. So there's Kendall Kerr. And up next will be Tyler Hampton. It's going to be even trickier, of course, to get beyond Tyler Hampton's confines because he's still one of the quickest in the field. 34.877 that time by. Now, the big picture really comes down to adapting toward the number 5 of Tyler Hampton. Matt Muir is going to decide to go for the exact same call. Roberto Ramirez, more of the same. Drivers heading down a pit road again. Now they're just trying to beat out drivers on old rubber. Interesting. Let's see what comes of it with 32 laps to go as both drivers come in as another pair. 5, 6, 7 drivers have gone in now on this alternate strategy, a last chance opportunity. Will they make it happen? Will they go forth and collect the checkered flag ahead of those in the top 10 right now? Old rubber versus new rubber is the battle that has defined this race, and it's defining it once again, just in a little bit of a different way. Lucas Lodato is right now in 8th, and with all these drivers who have continued to concede, Lucas is actually one of those who have benefited primarily. He finds himself now up into P8. Maybe a chance again to to stay inside the top 10. Not much else can be done right now for Lodato. If he falls back and goes down a pit road, I think it'll be a net negative for him. He's on a 24-lap stint, so with the leaders, he's relatively in sync. He's only 1 lap on a shorter run compared to Tyler Hampton, and on a 2-lap longer run than Kendall Kerr. So I think right now, when it comes to the bigger picture, stay where he is and keep things going. No reason to risk it any further. All things said and done for the number 7, Lucas Lodato can hold fort and take advantage. Alan Cumming, more the same. However, he's fallen back down into the 6th spot. I don't think there's any disadvantage for him to be on the pit road one more time. Actually, he's actually going to gain a little bit further because he's on a 20-lap run and catching up to Chad Winstead. I think right now for Alan Cumming, he's in a very good spot. Even though he doesn't have as much track position to begin with, he will continue to make moves. And that's going to be one of the big beneficiaries of his operation, whether or not the number 24 team, well, they're not here tonight, or rather, whether or not the number 48 team of Jimmy McKee can hold it up front with Dawson Buchanan. Maybe Alan Cumming can get in the mix with the Blacktop boys and do it all over again. The battle remains advantageous for Alan Cumming, but Chad Winstead is still holding him off. Taking a look off the backside of the number 1, and you'll see what the defending champ is doing here to hold on to P6. Alan Cumming continues to use that low groove, and Chad Winstead preferential looks like to the high side. And partial up top for the number 1 team looks to be a very similar strategy to one Caleb Morrissey, who decided to use that high groove and make things work out once again. Looks like right now for Caleb, well, he's going to be on the full-on pursuit. Chad Winstead right now, a little bit more of that passive defense. Maybe not passive per se, but it is not going to be easy for that number 1 team to hold on with what he's doing here. Alan Cumming is going to drive down low once again. He'll take it even and take it easy. Working down to the low groove, the number 8's there. So is the one of Chad Winstead. It's side by side with 26 laps to go. Pass made. That's going to put Alan Cumming up in a 5th. Jacob Hom here, going to see some competition in the number 76. That's Tyler Snyder. This will be the battle for 10th. Caleb Morrissey is getting closer and closer, however. Now getting close to being put back on the lead lap. There's a chance Caleb gets up to 10th place before we get down to 15 laps remaining here. Big question becomes whether or not that number 87 is going to stay ahead here of Jacob Hom first and foremost. There's also Roberto Ramirez, who was 3 laps down in 20th. Not one of Ramirez's best nights here. Certainly could have been more to be expected of the driver who started tonight. Admittedly, didn't start all too well. He's been around the 17th to 20th bracket all throughout the day. But for Ramirez, started in 21st. He's up in 20th. It's still a net gain, but really not much of a good showing. And Ramirez right now does not have the pace to prove much of anything. Chicago Street, his best race this season, finished in 2nd overall. His qualifying run was what deterred him from victory. And so now it looks like he's running away from Tyler Snyder behind. And that's going to give Caleb Morrissey a chance to first and foremost tackle the number 87 just ahead. And Caleb Morrissey is back on the lead lap, mind you. 102 laps in, Tyler Hampton has conceded and let him through. Although I think that's about the last time anyone's going to pass him in this entire race. Tyler leads now by 6 seconds over Kendall Kerr. Then you've got right behind him 9 seconds back in Jimmy McKee. 12 seconds behind is Dawson Buchanan, and 14 seconds behind is Alan Cumming. The teammates are running 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th respectively with 23 laps to go. For those who are watching, as always on FTN, 22 laps remaining means we're going to crank it up live with our friends at TrackCams22.com, presenting and providing the wonderful camera angles you see in both the track and Xfinity cars in tonight's broadcast tonight. Make sure to check out TrackCams22.com and Facebook.com/TrackCams for additional information. It's time to crank it up with the best sights and sounds in all of stock car racing, the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway. With 22 laps to go, let's crank it up here in Miami. Brought to you by TrackCams22.com. 16 laps remain, and Tyler Hampton right now walking to what could be a victory. Perhaps the most expected on the calendar. Homestead Miami Speedway has given Tyler Hampton previously an opportunity to dominate. That was season 16. But even if we're with the Xfinity cars tonight, and even though we spent most of the night with, of course, daylight rather than the sun setting, Tyler Hampton has proven dominant once again. Looks to be a track he knows best above all else, and he has a 6-second advantage over Kendall Kerr, one that has slightly diminished, although not enough to be of any concern for the driver of the number 5. Kendall Kerr right now going to find himself P2. Caleb Morrissey's leading the charge of those who went for the emergency set of rubber, and Kendall has found himself up in P2. Jimmy McKee P3. The Blacktop boys run second through 5th, while Caleb Morrissey right now is catching up to the likes of Kenny Brooks and Lucas Lodato once again. It looks like Morrissey has gotten back inside the top 10, so it's not going to be a terrible night for this team, but an interesting choice because it looks like nobody else has benefited quite as much as Morrissey has from going down and in with that last chance, last ditch effort. Someone just blew a motor, and it looks like they blew it on pit road. Was that Roberto Ramirez? I believe Ramirez might have just blown up, and heading down a pit road comes in. Interesting, as we heard the blow-up sound, but no smoke billowing out of the number 42. That will nevertheless be Ramirez's night. Back to Adam Bozzi anyhow. 21 laps in his run in 13th here. Caleb Morrissey got back on the lead lap and in the top 10. It looks like for Caleb, he decided at the right time to dive in. It looks like desperation, perhaps settling at the right time, which is a confusing thing to say in most cases, because there's not a lot of times you can reverse the actions that you've taken, but it looks like Caleb doing just that with an overall 3-stop strategy and 2 under green. New tires have proven pivotal for him rather than fading into the nothingness, even though he had track position beforehand. And I got to wonder whether or not he'd be able to hang on against Jacob Hamm if he stayed on old tire. That's not something that's guaranteed. Right now he's running a few tenths of a second quicker than Hamm and a few tenths of a second quicker. And Caleb Morrissey, of course, is to Kenny Brooks. So it looks like a single-digit finish might be on the horizon, even though he made an interesting and completely different call from everyone else. Morrissey's day is not done, and actually might have been a saving grace to do something so different and unique. Caleb Morrissey right now is still quicker than Tyler Hampton, in no jeopardy of going 1 lap down again, and right now Hampton is going to come down to the signal that gives him its 11 lap to go mark. 114 laps in out of 125, and Tyler Hampton comes across the line once again. It has been a fantastic race so far for Tyler Hampton, and there's really no two ways about it. Something about this number 5 team has come alive every time we've gone to Homestead over the last 3 years. Of course, from when we've seen Hampton anyway. He won in season 16, and now he's led 70 laps so far with a potential lead up to 81 on the day if he goes the full distance without interruption. Now, final reminder, of course, if something were to happen and yellow flag would fly, we would have a chance to go for a short sprint to finish this race, which really looks unlikely right now. We only have 10 drivers on the lead lap, the last of which is now Kenny Brooks. You'll see the number 38 machine of Dalton Beer looking up to the high side, and as Dalton goes top-sided, looks like he's going to be already 1 lap down. So being passed now by Kenny Brooks is not for position, but instead just going to be on the track and making the move by. The 54 does. Dalton Beer remains right now in 18th, and so not many changes for Dalton Beer on the day. As high as 12th and as low as 24th tonight, Dalton Beer has been everywhere on the circuit and started tonight in 24th and dead last. So everything he did today was a game regardless. Looks like he's made up a total of 6 spots on the night. Not a bad spot to be in right now for Dalton, given where he began and given the fact we've only had 1 yellow flag to break up the action. Some classic Highline Racing League action indeed, and Dalton overall has been able to put himself in a much better spot than where he was and make some gains for some solid points given the circumstances. Caleb Morrissey coming up right now on Lucas Lodato, which would be the last spot he could take on the night. It looks like with 9 seconds of a deficit to Chad Winstead, it is very unlikely, without a mistake, that Caleb could get there. However, now Lucas Lodato, a very feasible target to make a pass on, as number 6 is going to go up top. He's got new rubber here, and that's the big advantage. He sticks to the circuit no matter where he goes, and there you have it. Number 7 of Lodato passed. Now Caleb Morrissey back in 8th. And it looks like this was a net positive strategy call, going down and in, getting the extra set of rubber. Caleb Morrissey now finds himself in 8th yet again. A great move there. And so Chad Winstead going to be 7th, Casey Eshelby 6th, Alan Cummins going to be 5th, and then of course you got Dawson Buchanan there in 4th. Number 4 machine running P4. It's quite fitting how this number 4 team's gotten through. Blacktop Racing, wonderful team effort tonight. Although Tyler Hampton has been able to trump them all, and he's going to be due to come to victory lane. It looks like without any indication of slowing down. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th for one team is a major effort, the likes of which we have not seen before. Tyler Snyder, of course, going to be working alongside the likes of which as well. Dawson Buchanan right now looks to not be in any voice chat. However, he has done his part and has kept the number 4 team up and in front with really no signs of stopping. Could have been his first career win. He's gotten significantly closer, but it looks like the veterans are going to come through again. Jimmy McKee and Kendall Kerr. Kendall is 6 seconds back right now on Tyler Hampton, and it looks like once again he is slightly losing time. Nothing all too crazy, but nevertheless, Tyler Hampton does have the edge, and for Valvoline, the number 5 team, they've been running well, and it looks like there's no way to stop that. 2 Valvoline cars in the field tonight. One is a Valvoline throwback, that's Chad Winstead, and of course your race leader, Tyler Hampton, with 5 laps to go, looking to finish the job. Dalton Beer now going to be putting an additional lap down. That will put him 2 laps under. As it stands, Caleb Morrissey now 7 seconds back on Chad Winstead, and with that distance in mind, it's practically official. He will not make it up to the number 1, at least without any interference. It looks like Caleb Morrissey settling for 8th, which, given everything, not a bad place to settle for. He started in P16 and has made his way up. He's been on the up and up ever since the green flag dropped. Checkered flag is going to fly, and he'll be just about halfway through his journey. Of course, the goal of getting to the checkered flag. 4 laps remaining here and now. Tyler Hampton so far up and ahead. Everyone else right now just competing amongst themselves for what little remains. Now it looks like Matthew Rodriguez has still been able to make it through the entire night, although those internet troubles have been plaguing him, flickering back and forth time and time again. Looks like for Matthew Rodriguez, not much else that can be said or done besides saying he made it through and did not lose points based on a disconnection. Surprising, given that he's blinked in and out for the better part of 100+ laps, but he's hung on just well enough to make it through the distance, and he'll come across the line very soon, knowing he can put this race behind him and definitely improve with what is next to come. On the schedule randomizer, keep in mind for next week, while we don't have a set track put in place, we do know the type of circuit that we'll be heading to. That circuit, well, not going to be the same type. Unique circuits are practically a mix of everything. The short tracks, though, are what we can expect. So it'll be either Bristol or perhaps Iowa, IRP, Martinsville, or Richmond. That's what's up next on the table. Tyler Hampton has done well at those circuits before, and it looks like tonight, well, he's been given a bone at the Homestead Miami Speedway, and now he's looking to come to the white flag in one piece to finish the job and collect the checkered flag. The ever-dominant Tyler Hampton, he did this in Season 16 in his first ever Highline Racing League start at the same circuit a year ago. Now, coming back to the track in which he took control for the first ever time in his Highline Racing League career, he's done it again with only one caution of interruption. This time around, we had a green flag stint that dominated and controlled the strategy. Unlike last time through, Hampton had to deal with many yellow flags. He had no breaks and no chances for error tonight. And even with that being said, Hampton prevailed and dominated the field from flag to flag. Checkered flags out for Tyler Hampton, winning here from the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway, his second career win at Homestead in this league, and his first win of Season 18. Hampton dominant over Kendall Kerr and Jimmy McKee. Blacktop Racing makes up the rest of the podium. Fourth place, just beyond, is going to be your points leader in Alan Cummin. You'll have fifth place in Dawson Buchanan and P6, Casey Heschel. Seventh is going to be Chad Winstead and eighth place, Caleb Morrissey. P9 is going to be Lucas Lodato and 10th place, the final of which on the lead lap, Kenny Brooks. Then you'll have 11th. That's going to be Adam Bozzi. Jacob Hom is 12th, with Tyler Snyder 13th and Matt Muir P14, Colton Gardner 15th. Matthew Rodriguez 16th, Robert Kenny 17th, and Dalton Beer 2 laps down in 18th. 19th is Jason Harris with 20th, Terry Brooks. Then finally, Roberto Ramirez, the last finisher, and Ryan Potter, Scott Wheeler, and Scott Zellner as retirees. Burning down the house with 81 laps led, Tyler Hampton, it's about time he celebrates. Like a rather quick celebration for the 5 team, nevertheless a burnout well-deserved after leading for the majority of 125 laps. It hasn't been easy for Tyler Hampton on the campaign here in the Highline Racing League before, but he's done it once again and did so in dominant fashion tonight. Really little else that can be said for the number 5 crew. Tyler Hampton is a winner once more. Let's get a word from your race winner, Tyler Hampton, coming right up next. Number 5, Number 21, the 48. Your podium are expected, and first and foremost comes your race winner. Last time we were at Homestead, Tyler, you were able to get the job done and win for the first time in your Highline Racing League career. This race looked pretty familiar. Dominance from the beginning, and while not grabbing the pole, you quickly took yourself up to the race lead and kept it there. Checkered flag is yours for the first time in Season 18. What a way to return to Homestead.
Yeah, it feels good to get get another win. We got one earlier at Kentucky this year, but I've just made some mistakes and really cost myself from having good runs. And you got to be up front to give yourself a shot to win. So it was fun. I knew when we landed here that I had a shot to run top 5, if not win. I was just hoping for a top 5 after the last couple of weeks of ran like crap. So it's that made it even better.
And you mentioned getting that rebound in the points picture, something definitely necessary, and you collect all those bonus points tonight. You didn't start in the pole position, but we expected you to have some good pace, and you charged up to the race lead rather quickly. So talking first and foremost about that opening 20-lap stint, how much do you think that helped you in, of course, keeping track position tonight?
Yeah, I just wanted to maintain early. I'm horrible on fresh tires the first 5, 8, 10 laps. I don't know what it is. At any track, I just suck. So I'm better once the tires start wearing off and car starts getting a little loose to handle. That's really when I like it. So I just wanted to maintain. I mean, Dawson was fast, Kendall was fast, Adam was fast there early. So I just wanted to maintain my position and start trying to make my moves as the race went on.
Looks like making the move and keeping it up in the race lead. Strategy, rather simple. The pass for the win ended up being on Caleb Morrissey there. We saw a day to night race, so I'd have to ask, you think the tires were affected at all by that change?
I'd say a little bit. Just looking at it here, mine didn't fall off nearly as much as what they did that earlier stint, which I don't think we had. I mean, I think there was a few less laps, but still, I mean, there was a pretty good margin of what I had remaining, and I was pushing it about the same for both stints. So yeah, I think it helps some.
And all things considered, getting yourself back in a victory lane and a big time to do so. Up next is a short track week, and we know you've been rather quick at those in the past. Maybe a chance to go for another strong result here and keep the championship hope alive.
Yeah, it just depends. There's some short tracks that I just struggle at. Bristol's one of them. If we go there, I'll be happy to finish 20th. I just suck at that place for whatever reason. So we'll see what happens next week, and we'll go from there.
So maybe a chance to bring it back to victory lane rather quickly. Tyler Hampton, second time winning here in Homestead in the Highline Racing League. If you have any final comments you'd like to give, the floor is yours.
Yeah, big thanks for you guys there in the booth for calling the show, and Adam and Kendall and everybody's got their hands in this. I appreciate it. It's always fun racing with everybody every week.
So Tyler Hampton dominant with 81 laps led on the day. Victory here in Homestead. He gets it again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
So Tyler Hampton on the move. Let's move on to Kendall Kerr, second place. Blacktop Racing with a wonderful day. Right up there, 2, 3, 4, right alongside the podium. And had it not been for Tyler Hampton, maybe a chance to sweep it. Nevertheless, Kendall, you come away P2 tonight. How was it out there in Homestead? Looked like it was pretty good for you and the team.
I've always loved this track. I honestly wasn't planning on running tonight, and whenever I saw the old randomizer hit Homestead, I'm like, dang, I can't miss out on that. So I just am gonna be got a really long weekend ahead, so I was thinking about going to sleep here tonight. But it was a blast. I mean, got stomped by the 5 car. I mean, nobody had anything for him, but it was fun slipping and sliding out there. I wish the top worked a little bit more than it did, and like it has in seasons past. But for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to work out as well as it used to.
Mention a few of those changes. The package, of course, significantly different from last time we went here in season 16 with the Gen 4s. First time taking these Xfinity cars back out to the Homestead Miami Speedway. And you were, of course, with us in season 16 as you are tonight. Could you talk us through maybe a few of those differences and how you had to approach the track?
Honestly, don't remember season 16 at all. It's been so many of them. So, but I know whenever in years past, you used to be able to definitely rip the fence here, and that put on a whale of a show, and I really enjoyed it and miss it. But still, a great track. I love the true oval 1.5 miles rather than the quad or tri-ovals that we typically see on the schedules now.
7 laps led on the day. Strategy, maybe a chance to put yourself in there. We saw undercuts, overcuts, all of the sort. You think maybe if you went down at a different time, there would have been a better chance to go out there and maybe win it?
I mean, as old Larry Mack says, if you do what the leaders do, you're just going to follow the leader. So I was planning on pitting actually the lap after Tyler came in, but once he came in a little bit early on the run, I knew I had to run it long just for a chance to have better tires at the end. And I drove the absolute hell out of it and probably used up my stuff even more than the previous 2 runs on that last one. But you gotta go for it and try.
So getting yourself back up into the top 2, trying things and making it up. Podium, and we're coming up on a short track week once again where you've been pretty strong of which with those qualifying runs and the entire team going out there trying to go for victories. Before we head out to a short circuit though, any final messages you'd like to leave us with?
Just thinking about everybody in Western North Carolina, just less than an hour from me. I mean, the catastrophe they had up there was so much worse than anything you can even see on social media or the news. And just thinking about those folks, they actually are having snow this week already. Many of them no homes and living in tents where their home was, and they just need any kind of help they can get. I know they're not getting much from the federal government, so, but that's another story for another day. But just thinking of those folks, and want to say special hello to the 3Gs that are sleeping right now, Garrett, Grayson, and Gavin. But other than that, appreciate you guys on the broadcast. Appreciate the teammates that I have each and every week at Blacktop, and looking forward to the next one.
So Kendall Kerr making it through and leading the Blacktop charge into the podium, second on the day here from Homestead. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
Kendall Kerr, P2, just behind Jimmy McKee, and a very strong effort for the teammates there is the number 48. The only one on our podium who did not lead a lap, but came close and made some big strides early to end up back in the top 3. 9th to 3rd, so of our podium sitters, the biggest mover, and you made a lot of that early to get back in the top 3. Jimmy, how you feeling?
I feel pretty good.
Good reason to be, of course, getting up here inside the top 3. Want to talk first about the opening stint. Some good battles with you and Winstead to get up inside the top 5. How was it for you on track? It's been a while since we've been here.
Man, I felt like it was pretty good before the caution come out. I thought the tires were wearing pretty good to where I could make some gains. I was making gains on Winstead, and group in front of them felt like they were coming back to me, but the caution ruined all that. And The second run didn't feel as good. I felt like the car was a little worse or a little looser, and then it tightened up really quick. So I couldn't make a whole lot of gains that I wanted. But I don't know. It was a fun track. I was happy for the changing conditions.
Notice that, of course, changing conditions, a big deal when it came to, of course, how it looked on the circuit, but I don't know if it affected all too much your tire strategy. You went for 54-lap calls, so a little bit longer on that back end of the stint. And we've seen before, one-stop strategy is possible. You think it was the way to go tonight?
Yeah. I mean, it was about the same type of race as what we had at Kansas. So we knew when that first caution came out, we were just going to make one more stop, and that was it. Nobody else was going to pit twice and have a chance to win. So, I mean, nobody had a chance to win against Tyler tonight anyway. So, I mean, could do all we could do.
Nevertheless, now moving on, it may be a circuit where everyone's going to have a chance. Short, close-quarter racing is expected next week, and you, Kendall Kerr, Alan Cumming, and proven to be very strong when we go to those circuits under a mile in length as you were tonight. How are you feeling about your chances maybe to up the score and go a few spots higher?
I don't know. I just hope we go to Martinsville or Nashville fairgrounds, and then I hope Alan wrecks.
Well, there we have it. Nevertheless, good run tonight, taking home a P3. Jimmy, any final messages you'd like to leave us with?
I'm going to go to bed.
There we have it. Number 48 team getting the job done for a podium finish. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Jimmy McKee on the move, getting the job done for a third-place run. Podium finishers separated by 12.5 seconds here tonight. Jimmy McKee comes away in third with Kendall Kerr then in second. And of course, Tyler Hampton, race winner and 81 laps led on the day. Overall, your top two drivers leading 88 laps and just about 75% of the race across two drivers. And Tyler Hampton did a lot of that heavy lifting on his lonesome. Nevertheless, a wonderful race. We saw green flag racing from nearly flag to flag, and it's great to see these drivers putting things together in the long term rather than getting any breaks in between. Checkered flag is out, and so we move on to a next week, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, same time, same place. You'll see us go on short track racing as we go to a circuit that is less than a mile, although we don't quite know where it will be. We'll find that out next week as well, and we'd hope to, of course, figure out what happens in due time. Checkered flag falls another event. Tyler Hampton, its race winner, and you've been watching exclusive coverage of the Highline Racing League Westlake Royal Building Products Premier Series from the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway. I've been David Kreutz, your commentator and producer for tonight's event. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel, and check out the FTN Community Discord by scanning the QR code on your screen to stay up to date with all FTN action from Monday to Sunday and every day in between. Thank you for tuning in from the virtual Homestead, Florida. Once more, we hope you have a fantastic night.